Please join me in the chalice lighting word. In the light of truth, in the warmth of love, we gather to seek and seek to share.
Good morning. Let us settle into our space and prepare our hearts for worship. Our opening words are by Arthur Graham. Each of us is an artist whose task it is to shape life into some semblance of the pattern we dream about. The molding is not of self alone, but of shared tomorrow and times we shall never see. So let us be about our task. The materials are very precious and perishable. Let us join together in worship. Please raise your voice and spirit in our opening hymn, I Am Enough.
I see myself in joy and love. I know myself, I am enough. I see myself in joy and love. I know myself, I am enough. I see myself in joy and love. I know myself, I am enough. I see myself in joy and love. I know myself, I am enough. I see myself in joy and love. I know myself, I am enough. I see myself in joy and love. I know myself, I am enough. I see myself in joy and love. I know myself, I am enough.
Art class was over, but Vashti sat glued to her chair. Her paper was empty. Vashti's teacher leaned over the blank paper. "Ah, a polar bear in a snowstorm," she said. "Very funny," said Vashti. "I just can't draw." Her teacher smiled. "Just make a mark and see where it goes." Vashti grabbed a marker and gave the paper a good strong jab. There. Her teacher picked up the paper and studied it carefully. She pushed the paper toward Vashti and quietly said, "Now sign it." Vashti thought for a moment. "Well, maybe I can't draw, but I can sign my name." The next week, when Vashti walked into art class, she was surprised to see what was hanging above her teacher's desk. It was the little dot she had drawn, her dot, all framed in swirly gold. I could make a better dot than that. She opened her never-before-used set of watercolors and set to work. Vashti painted and painted a red dot, a purple dot, a yellow dot, a blue dot. The blue mixed with the yellow, she discovered she could make a green dot. Vashti kept experimenting lots of little dots in many colors. If I can make little dots, I can make big dots too. Vashti splashed her colors with a bigger brush on bigger paper to make bigger dots. Vashti even made a dot by not painting a dot. At the school art show a few weeks later, Vashti's many dots made quite a splash. Vashti noticed a little boy gazing up at her. "You're really a great artist. I wish I could draw," he said. "I bet you can," said Vashti. "Me? No, not me. I can't draw a straight line with a ruler." Vashti smiled. She handed the boy a blank piece of paper. "Show me." The boy's pencil shook as he drew his line. Vashti stared at the boy's squiggle, and then she said, "Please, sign it."
Hello. Today we're talking about art and creativity. When the committee started talking about doing this service, I thought to myself pretty immediately, well, they won't need me. This is for people with actual talent. You know, that knee-jerk reaction that so many of us have because we learned somehow in childhood that art and creativity are only for the really talented. But then Kimbra said, no, we want to talk about how art and creativity can be used to help people, to help them deal with their distress, with their problems. And you're a therapist, so you could probably do that. And I can. Creativity seems to help people feel less stressed. The research says people are more satisfied with their lives. They have more joy. And there's a couple of reasons why it seems to work that way. Number one is creativity, when we think about it in this way, is an activity that we engage in that is not geared toward some productive end, like a job. It's more like play. When we engage in a creative activity, even if we're doing a job, if we do it creatively, it seems more fun. It is. The other part of this is we're using our brain in a very different way when we're being creative. When we're being creative, we're using the right side of our brain. And the right side of our brain is much more connected with the rest of our nervous system. We're apprehending the whole world all at once. We're using more of our senses. We're using our emotions. And we're seeing and experiencing the world in a very different way. Our ordinary problem-solving, do-your-work kind of brain is the left side of our brain. And it breaks things into parts, organizes them into sequences, and makes cause and effect kinds of judgments about why things happen. It works pretty well for that kind of activity, but the truth is, it literally cannot make a picture. It doesn't make a picture. The left side of your brain can't see a whole thing. It only shows it up as parts. So, right side of our brain is more holistic. It views things in a bigger way. It also doesn't really use language very much. One of the other principles about the way our nervous system works is that anything we produce really reflects our nervous system. It reflects what we are thinking. So, anything you draw, anything you write, the joke that you make, we can look at it and see that there's a bit of truth in there about you, even if we make it entirely up. And the interesting thing about the right side of our brain is, because it doesn't use language, what it's revealing is the unspoken or the unspeakable. And whether we stop to analyze that or not, when we create, when we make something, when we put something out there in the form of art or as a fun activity, we're actually letting our mind process the unspoken, the unspeakable. And we can look at it and analyze it. That's what I do with my clients. Or we can just let it be, but it still helps. One of the ways that this came to me, and some of you have heard this before, I knew when I was very young what I wanted to do with my life. I knew I was going to be a therapist, or maybe an actor, or maybe a preacher. And I realized that all three of those things are the same activity. All of those things are a way to use story to change the world, to change the way we feel about ourselves. And the interesting thing is that a story can both change us, but our story can change the world. People often come to me and say, why should I work on my past? It doesn't change anything. I can't change the facts. And it's true that you can't change the facts. But when you change the story, you change the reality. I read an interesting example of this the other day, a man named Terry Pratchett in a book. He said, you can think about the story of the Emperor's New Clothes as the story of a little boy who was naive, but who saw very clearly through all the social pretense and revealed the truth about the world. Or you can tell the story about a foolish little boy who didn't know when to keep his mouth shut and got his entire family banished from the kingdom for humiliating the king in public. The facts of the story are the same, basically. But it's a very different story. I have a poem here by my friend Hafez called To Build a Swing. You carry all the ingredients to turn your life into a nightmare. Don't mix them. You carry all the genius to build a swing in your backyard to God. That sounds like a hell of a lot more fun. Let's start laughing, drawing blueprints, gathering our talented friends. I will help you with my divine lyre and drum. Hafez will sing 1,000 words you can take into your hands like golden saws, silver hammers, polished teakwood, strong silk rope. You carry all the ingredients to turn our existence into joy. Mix them. Mix them. Thank you.
Franz Marc's Blue Horses by Mary Oliver. I step into the painting of the 4 blue horses. I am not even surprised that I can do this. One of the horses walks towards me. His blue nose noses me lightly. I put my arm over his blue mane, not holding on, just commingling. He allows me my pleasure. Franz Marc died a young man, shrapnel in his brain. I would rather die than explain to the blue horses what war is. they would either faint in horror or simply find it impossible to believe. I do not know how to thank you, Franz Marc. Maybe our world will grow kinder eventually. Maybe the desire to make something beautiful is the peace of God that is inside each of us. Now, all 4 horses have come closer, are bending their faces toward me as if they have secrets to tell. I don't expect them to speak, and they don't. If being so beautiful isn't enough, what could they possibly say?
When I was young, the sky was higher, the ground was closer, not so far to fall. But now I'm older, sun seems colder, my eyes grown wider, and the world's grown small. I have a chance to rise above this life that I have led and give back a bit of love and create a better world instead. Make a difference, make a change, create a better world instead.
Hi, my name is Marta Flores. Today we're going to draw with watercolors. We're going to draw flowers. And we're going to talk a little bit about Georgia O'Keeffe. Georgia O'Keeffe is an American artist who lived in New Mexico and Taos and lived well into her 90s. And she was a great painter of flowers. Her beautiful flowers, this is an orchid, it's called the white orchid. She always says, look at things very carefully, be an observant, and paint detail. So she was just an amazing artist. This one is called the white trumpet. Beautiful flower too, with a lot of depth. These are bleeding hearts. They grow a lot around here, and of course sunflowers. And my favorite one is calla lilies. I love calla lilies, and I have painted many calla lilies paintings. So I'm going to show you some tricks on how to draw flowers the easy way. The first thing I'm going to usually ask children, what letter is this? And they go, oh, the letter U. Yes, I say, but if you close it up with a curly Q and put the letter S in the middle, it makes a beautiful tulip, doesn't it? It does. Another U, I'm going to close it with a curly Q I'm going to put another letter S, and this time I'm going to fill it with half heart shapes around. And guess what flower I'm making? A rose. You're right, I'm making a rose. Put the stem and the leaves of the rose are almond shape. So there you have it. Now my beautiful flower, the calla lilies. I love calla lilies, and I discovered an easy way to do it with that letter. What letter is that? V. My middle name is Victoria, so that is my letter. And then I close it with an oval shape, and there you have a beautiful calla lily. You can also do another different flowers. All coming out from a letter V. See how simple? Painting flowers. Very simple. Go back to our tulip. We'll do our red tulip here. So kind of a purplish is gonna come out. So I'm using again watercolors. I use my fine brush for detail, like this. And maybe some yellow in the middle. Wipe it on your rag, make some yellow, and then green. Okay, so that is my watercolor flower painting and remembering our beautiful artist, Georgia O'Keeffe. Thank you so much.
Hi, this is Shannon, and I am going to attempt in a short period of time to answer a question that Kimbra's posed. Why do art as a creative therapy in my life? And first of all, just to say that I've always been a real curious and imaginative child. That person is still within me. I think I incessantly asked the question why, and my mom got so frustrated she started putting tools into my hand when I was old enough. Grade school, I had a little sewing machine. I tried a unicycle. I was a ventriloquist. I had all these tools and things that resonated with me, and that's part of creativity. What resonates with you? So my skill set's built over a lifetime, and I realized that creating was really important. I feel dried up and not really in the flow of life when I don't have some type of creativity going on, which is to say, not to say that I'm creating all the time. There are times where I have to kind of eddy out and just find stillness. And there are times where things are going so rapidly over rocks and hard places that I need to just eddy out to slow down and get a grip on things. But I find that where I've come, life is creativity. And if I am not in my own flow, I'm not really participating. So this morning I came up with a little comment. Creativity is the active participation in the journey of becoming. So it is life. We're all creating. It's just what form. So one of besides being a fiber artist and working with wood and fibers and muscle, I also do soul collage, which I came in contact with probably in around 2002, 2003, when I was in a very transitional time of life and really needing to reframe who I was or what was I. I had to connect with that deeper soul inside and learn how to bring it out and see it for what it was. So I'm going to show you a series of cards and just say a little bit about them. Soul collage is a trademarked thing, and a lot of people do versions of it. But it was developed by therapists to help people get in touch with their deeper self. And the second card I made was this card, and I'll bring it up close. There was a famished child who wasn't being fed, and life was basically black and white and just not very well nourished. And I had a dream, and things lit up, and I could see beauty again. This is one of the few cards I've made that has words on it, because I really encourage you not to. But it said, in a dream, you saw a way to survive, and you were full of joy. So, in some sense, creativity is the flow. It helps me live. I had to overcome my inner critic, who wanted to say I wasn't an artist, and I had to put this one to a different task of protecting my boundaries, but not telling me I can't do, because it's part of a response to life that says, yes, I can. I don't want fear to be what rules me. And some of the stuff, this is one of the harder cards I made for this pandemic, is I'm a mask maker in so many ways, but behind this shock and lightning bolt, we're feeling tattered. So this is a way for me to look at what's going on, and from today's card, ponder over Wenatchee and the world in great concern, and trust that we will return to health, the world and all of us, with art helping us to reframe. Thank you, everybody. Have a great Sunday.
Our closing prayer is an adapted prayer by Susan Bandress. Let us create the magic of imagination by which we know one another and learn the lives of errors gone by. Let us create the magic of possibility by which we build the world of our soul and teach its wisdom to others, young and old. Let us create the magic of our lives together, holding and shaping by the movement of breath from heart to lung all new life that is to come. Go now with creativity. Go now with magic in your fingertips. Touch this world with life. Amen. Please raise your spirit and voice in our closing hymn, I'm Gonna Walk It With You.
Well, it looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm gonna walk it with you. And I know you might have a heavy load, but I can carry some too. I will lift you up when they push you down. I will raise my voice and stand my ground. Well, it looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm gonna walk it with you. Like it might be a long night, but I ain't going nowhere. And I know it's gonna be a hard fight, but I will stay right here. I will shine a light in the darkest hour. I will face the man in the tallest tower. Well, it looks like it might be a long night, but I ain't going nowhere. I will work, I will fight, I will strive in the name of love. I will speak, I will shout, I will sing it to the skies above. Well, it looks like it might be a perilous climb, but I will follow your lead. And I know it might be a long time till the last one of us is free. But I will hold on tight, stay by your side. I will be with you for this whole damn ride. Well, it looks like it might be a perilous climb, but I will follow your lead. Well, it looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm gonna walk it with you. And you might have a heavy load, but I can carry some push you down, I will raise my voice and stand my ground. Well, it looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm gonna walk it with you. I'm gonna walk it with you, that's right. I'm gonna walk it with you. I will walk, I will climb, shine my light on the whole night through, because it looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm gonna walk it with you.
Please join me in the chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please raise your hands in the spirit of connection for our closing song.
Carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again. Carry the flame of peace and love until we